Will you pray for me? God, may the words of my lips and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, because you are our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. He had barely started, just begun. His ministry new, the movement nascent, his powers untested, the disciples few. He had only just begun way up there in Galilee, the middle of nowhere, way up there in Galilee, where everything changed forever. He had only just begun, but the word spread and the crowds came. The crowds came limping, madding, begging and demanding. From the cities and the towns, the Jews and the Gentiles, from the mountains and the coast, overlarge, overburdened, overwrought. And they said, "Help." He had just begun, and the crowds came with their demons and dementia, their dis-ease and their distress, and there were too many for just one man, even just one man who was God, to save them alone. So he climbed a hill and sat him down and looked around, and he began to preach. He lined up prophets and proverbs, poets and psalms, promises, pronouncements, covenants, commandments, and statements of our God. And he said, "Disciples, here's a true thing. Apprentices, believe this. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are them that mourn. Blessed are the meek and them that hunger. Blessed are they that are parched for righteousness. Blessed the merciful, the pure-hearted, the peacemakers, and the persecuted, and those the world hates because they believe in me, and I say things like this. Blessed are the last and the least and the lost, so may it be. Amen." And the disciples hadn't yet learned his tricks. So they sat at his feet and repeated after him like schoolboys at their desks. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are them that mourn. Blessed are the meek. Right on down the line. Such good boys, such trusting souls. And I wasn't there, and the story doesn't say, so I don't know. But can't you just hear someone in the back that day raise her hand and say, "So what?" Can't you just hear her ask, "So what does that mean? My reward is in heaven. There's pie in the sky. It'll be all right in the morning. Blessed are them that mourn. Did you just call my dead husband a blessing? Or did you just call the Roman occupation good news? Or did you just tell me to bless the fact that I've never tasted righteousness?" Can't you just hear her say, "Just what does that mean, Jesus?" Because it sounds very nice indeed, but here's the thing. My kids are hungry. My kids are hungry, and Satan's on the move, and I have lost my groove, so while your talk is smooth, if you want me to follow you, you're going to have to prove to me what you say. And don't you think that when she stood up and folded her arms and narrowed her eyes and stared him down and called him out, don't you think he said, "I sure am glad you asked"? Don't you think he lined up prophets and proverbs and poets and psalms, promises, pronouncements, covenants, commandments, and statements of our God? And don't you think he said, "They're not blessed because heaven's coming, or because love will win one day, or because God will rebuild, though it is and it will and he's gonna. It's not promises, it's not magic, it's not sweet, sweet hope, though those are all in there deep. The Beatitudes aren't platitudes, they're you." Here's the answer, here's the solution, here's the key, here's why they're blessed. It's you. Light to the nations, city on a hill and herald on the mountain, anointed by the Spirit and called before the womb. It's you. Disciples, here's a true thing. Apprentices, listen up. I have a plan. Look at that crowd, he said, with their demons and dementia, their dis-ease and their distress, overburdened, overwrought, overlarge, too many for just one me to save alone. And so I have a plan. But first I should tell you this, he said. Be careful what you bless, said Jesus. For a blessing is a bond. It's a promise and a covenant, a sending and a sign. Don't you think, don't ever think a blessing is just words. This is the star-kindling, world making, earth-shaking, dead-waking, light-creating, dark-abating, source of all that loves and lives, power of God we're talking about here. Did you really think you could call that power down and not be changed? Did you really think you could channel that in blessing and not be chained forever to the thing you blessed? You're going to say, blessed are the mourners, and leave it at that. You're going to bless the hungry and just walk away. What would ever make you think that God would bless at your command and not use you to fulfill your own demand? So be careful what you bless for. And don't ever think that you can bless and leave. Your blessing is your covenant, your sending, sign, and bond. And should the star-kindling, world-making, earth-shaking, dead-waking, light-creating, dark-abating, source of all that loves and lives choose to bless at your command, you can be sure that you will be part of the plan. So disciples, here's a true thing. Apprentices, believe this. This crowd is overwrought, overburdened, overlarge for just one little me. You said, blessed are the so-and-sos. Here's my spirit. Now you the blessing be. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for I am sending you, Peter, he said, to rebuild the kingdom of heaven right here on earth. Blessed are those who mourn, for I am sending Andrew with comfort in his hands, and soon I will give him a story about the death of death forever. Blessed are the meek, for I am sending my disciples to bless and win the world for gentleness. Blessed are the hungry and thirsty for righteousness, for I am sending James to invite them to join the revolution of oppression's dissolution. Blessed are the merciful, and bless the pure in heart, for I am sending Magdalene to bear them mercy's start. Blessed are the peacemakers, for John is on his way to baptize them, beatify them for the ending of dismay. And blessed are the persecuted and reviled, for I am sending out my church, my army of kindness and gentleness. And the Spirit of the Lord is upon them, and they are calling heaven to the world to transform this mortal swirl. Disciples, do you get the point? He said. Crowd, am I making myself clear? These Beatitudes aren't platitudes, not indicative, imperative, transformative, generative. They're promises that you made. Now, I wasn't there, and the story doesn't say, so I don't know, but here's how I think that Jesus knew just who would be blessed. I think he looked back at the prophets and proverbs, at poets and psalms, promises, pronouncements, covenants, commandments, and statements of our God, and I think he turned and looked down the ages, scanned through all the years, peered right through the centuries, and saw disciples sitting here, right at his feet. Saw apprentices gathered around to hear a true thing, a something to believe, and I think he saw you, Plymouth Church, in his plan. So believe this. Blessed are the last, blessed are the least, blessed are the lost, for God is sending Plymouth Congregational Church, drenched in the Spirit, to blessing be. Believe this, says the Christ. Blessed are the most vulnerable children in Syracuse, for I am sending Nellie Fisher and Scott Kramer and Rich Capelli with the keys to the storehouses of wisdom in their hands to teach them the future. Blessed are them that mourn, for the care team, and you who make casseroles, and you who pray hard and comfort harder are on their way. Blessed are the meek, for Mabel Wilson and Shukai Chin and Axe are about to organize them into a force to be reckoned with. Blessed are the persecuted, for P.V. George and his team of refugee resettlers are working hard in the world. Blessed are the hungry in Syracuse, for you, Plymouth, sent over $1,800 to the Samaritan Center and the food bank after our Christmas offering this year. Blessed is that whole diseased, distressed crowd, for I am sending my people, my Spirit, my church, and we have only just begun. Good Christian disciples, here's a thing that's true. If the Beatitudes are more than platitudes, it's because God's chosen you. Say amen.